Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today we're going back to the Codecademy lessons on Python. So we finished the Python syntax, the strings and console output, and we did the conditional and control flow. This time we're doing PygLatin. So if you caught this kind of midstream in the series and you want to go to the first episode in the series, I'll put the link down below in the summary. But otherwise, I'm going to go and get started. So break it down. Now let's take what we've learned so far and write a PygLatin translator. PygLatin is a language game where you move the first letter of the word to the end and add a. So Python becomes Python pay. To write a PygLatin translator in Python, here are the steps we'll need to take. Ask the user to input a word in English. Make sure the user entered a valid word. Convert the word from English to PygLatin, display the translation results. All right, when you're ready to get coding, click Next. Okay. Ahoy, or should I say, ahoy. Let's warm up by printing a welcome message for our translator users. Please print the phrase PygLatin. Okay, so we just put the print, and then in quotations, PygLatin. If you were using Python 3, you would need parentheses around PygLatin. But since this is run on Python 2.7, you do not need that. All right, so that checks out. So input. Next, we'll ask the user for input. So you assign to the name variable the output of raw input, and then the question is, what's your name? If you're using Python 3, it would just be input. And then just prints what's stored in the name variable, which is whatever someone typed. In the above results, raw input incepts a string, prints it, and then waits for the user to type something and press enter. In the interpreter, Python will ask, what's your name? Once you type in your name and hit enter, it'll be stored in name. Okay. On line 4, so here we got line 4. Use raw input, enter a word to ask the user to enter a word. Save the results of raw input into a variable called original. So original equals raw input. Again, if you were using Python 3, you just put input, and then we're going to do enter a word, colon, and then click run. We'll just say pizza. And that is all that the code is meant to do at this point. Check yourself. Next, we need to ensure that the user actually types something. All right, so looks like they're doing empty string, and they're assigning an empty string to that. And then they're looking if the length of the empty string is greater than 0, then it does something else. It does something if the string is empty. Okay, so write an if statement that verifies the string has characters. Add an if statement that checks that the length of original is greater than 0. Don't forget the colon at the end of the if statement. If the string actually has some characters in it, print the user's word. Otherwise, an else statement, print empty. Okay. You'll want to run your code multiple times, testing an empty string and a string with characters. When you're confident your code works, continue to the next exercise. Okay. So on the next line, we're going to put if length of original. So this is checking the length of the input that the user put in. And then it will indent after this if block. And in here we want to print the user's word. So we're going to print original. And then we're going to put an else statement. So if the length, I forgot to put greater than 0, sorry. Otherwise, print empty. Print So we'll enter a word, again pizza, and it returns pizza. Let's run it again. This time we'll enter nothing and it says empty. Okay, so we tested the two conditions and we got what we expected. All right, check yourself some more. Now we know we have a non-empty string. Let's be even more thorough and check that our string only contains letters. Consider the following code. So assigning to x, it's assigning j123, and then it's using the method on x of isAlpha. This will return false because there are some numbers in it, which returns false since the string contains non-letter characters. You can use isAlpha to check that a string doesn't contain any non-letter characters, for example. Use AND to add a second condition to your if statement. In addition to your existing check that the string contains characters, you should also use isAlpha to make sure that it also contains letters. That it only contains letters, sorry. Don't forget to keep the colon at the end of the if statement. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an and we're going to say original dot isAlpha. Because this is a method, we got to put the parentheses there. And now let's run it. So we'll enter a word. Let's enter pizza 1. And you'll see that it returns empty because this part of the statement returned false, even though it's not really empty. Pop quiz. When you finish one part of your program, it's important to test it multiple times using a variety of inputs. Take some time to test your current code, try some inputs that should pass and some that should fail. Enter some strings that contain non-alphabetic characters and an empty string. When you're convinced that your code is ready to go, click Next to move forward. Okay, so let's run this. So first thing I'll do is I'll just leave it empty and it should print empty. That is correct. All right. Now I'll put in a word. Let's just put word. Now it should print word because it is greater than 0 in the length and it has all letters. That worked. And now let's do one more and let's do word 1, 2, 3. Now this one should print empty because it failed this condition, and that is correct. AYBC. Now we can get ready to start translating to PygLatin. Let's review the rules for translation. You move the first letter of the word to the end and then append the suffix AY. Example, Python, Ithon, Pay. Let's create a variable to hold our translation suffix. Create a variable named PYG and set it equal to the suffix A. All right. Python equals A. We'll run that. Oh, whoops. Not Python, PYG, sorry. Guess I'm not very good at following instructions. There we go. Word up. Let's simplify things by making the letters in our word lowercase. So you can see they set this string equal to the string. Then they assign the string dot lower, which makes everything lowercase. Is a method. The dot lower function does not modify the string itself. It simply returns a lowercase version. In the example above, we store the result back into the same variable. We also need to grab the first letter of the word. So first letter equals the string, and then we put in brackets 0. So this will take the first letter of a string. So in this case, if this was the string, it would just take the A. Remember that Python starts numbering with 0. So the string 1 is actually the second letter, and the string 2 is the third letter. Now for a string that's only 2 characters, if you ran this code, it would give you an error because the 2 is longer than the string, because this would be 0, and this would be 1, and there would be no 2. Remember, we start counting from 0, not 1, so we access the first letter by asking bracket 0. Correct. Inside your if statement, create a new variable called word. Okay, that holds the .lowercase conversion of original. All right, so let's do word equals original .lower. Create a new variable called first that holds word 0, the first letter of word. Okay. We're going to do first equals word 0. Okay, let's run that. Let's do pizza. Actually, let's put in the print statement back in there. Print first, comma, word, comma, original. Just to show you what's happening here. So let's do pizza. So you can see the first, it's pulling just the P from the original that you put in the lowercase for. Word is just taking the pizza and putting it all in lowercase, and you can see the original is what I typed. Move it back. Now that we have the first letter stored, we need to add both the letter and the string stored in PYG to the end of the original string. Remember how to concatenate, i.e. add strings together. So you just add them together with the plus sign. So here you got greeting and name, and this just equals hello with a space, d.y. So on a new line after you created the first variable, create a new variable called new word and set it equal to the concatenation of word first and PYG. Okay, so we got a new word, and we're assigning that variable to word plus first plus PYG. And let's just print out new word. Just show you the results. Let's do pizza again. Pizza pay. So you can see we didn't take off this first P of the word yet, so it's still there. But I'm guessing in the next section that's what we're going to do. Well done. However, now we have the first letter showing up both at the beginning and near the end. So here in this code, they're assigning the S variable to Charlie. They're printing out the first letter of S, which is C, and then they're printing out actually the second letter through, that would be the fourth. So H-A-R. So you got 0, and then you start at 1, 2, 3, and you don't go to 4. It's exclusive. So you got H-A-R for this statement here. So they're just explaining that there. We're going to slice a string just like in the third example above. Set new word equal to the slice from the first index all the way to the end of new word. Use 1 colon length of new word to do this. Okay. So it is true you could do 1 colon length of new word, but 1 colon should work, since if you put nothing there, it'll go to the end of the thing. Let's run that. Let's do pizza again. Eats a pay. Now we got it right. So this is not necessary. Testing, is this thing on? Yeah. You should have a fully functioning PygLatin translator. Test your code thoroughly to be sure everything is working smoothly. You'll also want to take out any print statements that you were using to help debug intermediate steps of your code. Now might be a good time to add some comments too. Making sure your code is clean, commented, and fully functional is just as important as writing it in the first place. Okay. So we'll put some comments in. I don't know that this code is actually pretty simple, so I don't think you would need comments, but I'll just show you. So you use the pound sign here to do a comment, a one-line comment at least, and we'll see check for empty string and all letters. And then we'll run it. Let's test good to me, and that's empty because what we saw before, it's testing to see that they're all letters. And we kind of did all the testing already, so I'm not going to go through all that testing again. But you can see what happens according to this if statement. It has to pass both of these conditions of being at least one character and being all letters, and then it'll run this block of code. In this block of code, we're assigning to word the original word that the user typed in, and then putting it all in lowercase. And then first is storing the first letter of that word. So 0 is the first letter because Python starts with 0 numbering. And then the new word, we're storing the second letter onto the end of the word, and then we're doing the first, and then we're doing the PYG that we assigned up here as AY, and then just printing that new word. And that's the whole lesson. Hope you guys are able to follow along with that, and you hopefully learned how to do some if statements and some assignment and some slicing of string characters. All right, thank you very much.